Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Comic Source Comic Boom collaboration as the 12 Days of the Comic Source presents Bad Idea marches on. Day number 5, I think we're on here. So we're actually going to talk about two series of 2 episodes today. This one's going to be really short because it deals with a one-shot that has 2 stories in it. Hank Howard, Pizza Detective, Caligula's Safe. So this was sold for one day only, for $1. Comic shops were supposed to destroy any copies they had left over or ship them back or something like that. I know that not everybody did. I know probably some places sold it after the date, but it was one of those crazy marketing things that Bad Idea did and still continues to do. This one was early on. And again, it's this idea of Hank Howard, who's a pizza detective. He's a detective that works for a pizza chain. And it goes back to the backups, the B-sides, as a Bad Idea calls them. And, I've mentioned them a few times before, talked about how this is sort of Bad Idea's way of trying out some talent, seeing how they do, working with an artist, working under deadlines, working with Bad Idea in the way that they do things. So in the back of Tankers number 3, there was a B-side that starred Hank Howard, Pizza Detective. And it doesn't take itself too seriously as a book. As a reader, it's supposed to be humorous, but why it really works in that B-side, the first time that we meet Hank Howard in Tankers 3, is because he himself takes himself so seriously, and Robert Venditti's in on the joke, right? As the writer, the dialogue he writes is very much hard-boiled detective, right? It's life or death. It's the highest stakes. He takes everything really seriously. And so based on the popularity of that B-side in the back of Tankers 3, Bad Idea decided, hey, let's do another one. Robert Venditti has said Hank Howard's one of his favorite characters to write. He has so much fun writing Hank Howard. Again, because it's this idea that it's like uber life and death, super serious stuff, but really it's not. The guy, in Tankers 3, somebody's stealing tokens, right? This pizza chain he works for is like a Chuck E. Cheese, let's say, where they have arcade games and you have to have tokens to use them, and somebody's stealing tokens and selling them. And Hank Howard, he wants to solve this case. It's life or death. It's national security. No, it's somebody's stealing tokens so they can resell them, make some money. And kids are buying the tokens from the pizza place to go use them at other arcades, because it's saving them a couple bucks. This isn't life or death. But again, based on the popularity of that, Reverend Diddy's desire to write more, we get this Caligula's Safe Hank Howard story. Again, it's black and white, and which helps to kind of sell the tone of the story, I guess you'd say, in terms of it being super serious and black and white, and David Laptham art, who's very good at sort of slice of life type of stuff. So this time, Hank's trying to solve the mystery of a safe that was robbed, and he's talking to the 15-year-old kid who's only been working there, at the pizza place for a little while. It was his job to close up on a Sunday night. He put the cash drawer in the safe. He locked it as he was supposed to. He locked the back door. He rode home on his bike, and Hank's, trying to solve the mystery of who broke into the safe and who took all the money. So what's so funny about it is, again, just the dialogue, right? Like, it's this 15-year-old kid. He's got acne all over his face, as 15-year-old kids tend to do from time to time. And I'll give you a perfect example. He's like, this kid's face looked like he was in a spoon fight, but the other guy brought a fork, right? Because he's got all the little pits in his face from being stabbed with a fork. And hey, he's spouting out these lines like 100% serious. It's life or death. The kid's mother's there practically with her jaw on the ground going, how can you talk to my son like this? Like, he didn't do anything wrong. What's wrong with you? Kind of thing. And it's so hilarious. And I know the humor might not be for everybody. But one of the things that I love about it is just how seriously Hank takes it and how not serious it is, right? And if any of you guys that are watching or listening have ever seen that episode of Seinfeld with the library cop, who's played by Philip Seymour Hoffman, I think his name is.
Yeah, I remember that episode. That's good.
Yeah. Philip Seymour Baker or something like that is his name. But anyway, yeah, his name's Bookman, and he's the library cop, and he just takes it so seriously that people aren't returning their library books on time, and everybody else is like just incredulous at how ridiculous it is. That's what makes this work. It's so fun. It's so amazing, and I think we're gonna get more Hank Howard uh, coming up later, um, but I don't know for sure. But I wouldn't be surprised. Um, but I did also want to mention. I've mentioned Tankers here. I've mentioned Robert Venditti. Uh, Rob did say that. Well, two things I want to mention. First of all, I mentioned we hadn't read, or I hadn't read the color one shot Tankers Mission Go New York Comic Con exclusive. So I was mistaken actually. What I didn't realize is that Mission Go is the same um, story that's a backup, a B side for one of the issues of the lot, which is in the other episode that we're going to talk about today. So the exclusive they gave at New York Comic Con is just a colorized version of that B side. So I actually have read it, and it's not a sequel; it's a prequel to the actual Tankers series that we talked about. That's absolutely fantastic, and there may be more Tankers coming. Just like hopefully there's more Hank Howard coming. Um, but yeah, Robert Venditti was nice enough to reach out and say how much he enjoyed writing Tankers and how much he loves writing Hank Howard, and he's happy that we're covering it and doing the 12 days of Comic Source presents Bad Idea. So this is just a lot of fun, clever marketing. I think interesting marketing. Again, Bad Idea. Trying to get people into comic shops. This was only available for one day. You had to go that day. You had to buy it for $1. Whether or not some people sold it later, that may or may not be the case, but definitely breaking the rules. And as we've seen, if you break the rules as a comic shop, Bad Idea will not allow you to sell their books. And, I know some people say it's a lot of hoops to jump through and that kind of thing, and they don't understand. But at the end of the day, these rules exist to get foot traffic into comic shops. That's what they do. And I get that some people are like, it's too hard. It's too much work to get the books and that sort of thing. And it's a conversation for another day. But really the bottom line is they're just trying to get people into the comic shops and also the books into the hands of people. That's why it's one per person. You can't go buy them all and then put them up on eBay for, a higher price. That's why they have limited time. It's why they're not allowed to sell them for more than cover price. It's why it's one per person. This was kind of an extreme example of that, but yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. What do you think, Rocky? Let's get your thoughts.
Well, Hank, this lead character, Hank Howard, is he's definitely a piece of work, and you're right. He takes himself far too seriously. He reminds me. There was an old sitcom in the '80s called Sledgehammer, who was he
Yeah,
was like a chauvinist, and he was but he always took everything so seriously, and he thought he was God's gift to the universe and super intelligent. And I kind of I get some of that vibes here with this with this Hank Howard. Uh, it's funny, like he's like you say, there's this 15-year-old kid who's the prime suspect in this theft of tokens at a pizzeria called Caligula's, for God's sakes, and he's treating the kid's mother, as like a piece of trailer trash. She's divorced, and she's got this pimple-ridden kid. She's probably desperate for cash. He's sounding like some crime noir, detective right out of the 1940s. Making coming up with all these wonderful little phrases and what have you. And of course, he's much more brutal and kind of an ass about it. Like he says to the kid, as he finally, when he discovers that the kid is actually innocent at the end, or he's walking away, he tells the kid, "Motives are like assholes. Everybody's got one." I mean, he doesn't even apologize at the end. Apologize for nothing. I'm nothing. That's the markings of a true asshole. Um, but it's fun. I mean, when I first read this, I was expecting a little bit more. You're right about the David Lapham art. It does sort of ground it in a very sort of it's really good art. I mean, it works well in black and white, and it probably worked well in color too. But it's funny that my favorite panel was when he shows the panel of the mother of the kid. She looks the look of contempt that she's giving Hank Howard, I think, says it all. She looks absolutely, she actually absolutely hates him. So kudos to David Lapham. So there's a couple panels here that I thought were quite comical. Uh, I didn't realize I googled this Hank Howard Pizza Detective, and then I found out, just like you've already informed everyone, that this was a comic book that was sold for $1. That is a pretty good deal for this. Uh, this is something where this was not available in my comic shop. My retailer never had that, but this is something where if this was available for $1, I can't imagine anybody not wanting to pick it up. I mean, it's because it would be something that I would probably check out. I mean, I was expecting something a little bit different, but you know, uh, something needs to rock up the market a little bit, and something like this. I mean, okay, I'm sure they've lost money if they're just selling it for $1, but I gotta say, I mean, if it was sort of a monthly thing, oh, it's a monthly. Once again, we get for $1, we're getting the further adventures of Hank Howard, you know, corporate detective. That might be something that could catch on, but. Are they planning to have this moving forward? Because I know this came out in 2021. Has this come out in the last few years at all or not? You know?
I don't think there's been any more backups for Hank Howard, but I'm sure. I mean, they've got such a big catalog. But I mentioned before, the thing about Bad Idea is, they'll wait till books are completely finished before they release them. Art, everything is completely done. So, and they have a bunch of these B-side, kind of backup stories um, that are sort of, waiting for other books to be released. Larger projects to be released that they'll tack these onto. So, and they don't want to overwhelm themselves. They don't want to overwhelm the market, that sort of thing as well. But yeah, I mean, it's a laugh out loud funny. You mentioned the dialogue, and there's a couple of lines in here when he's talking about the mother. Her checkbook bleeds red. Maybe that's why the kid did it. Why he stole the money, probably trying to help out. The mother reached nowhere long ago and signed a lifetime lease. I mean, it's just that's really where this shines. 15 years old and going nowhere. He calls the mom. She's a stovetop lawyer. She puts Law and Order. She watches a Law and Order marathon and burns her dinner while it's on the stovetop because she's too busy watching Law and Order. I mean, it's just lines like that,
Mm.
and they're funny to us, but he says them, so matter of factly. And again, as Philip Baker Hall is the actor's name. I was trying to think of the Seinfeld library cop. If you don't know, or you need to imagine the delivery and how seriously Hank Howard takes himself, just go watch that episode of Seinfeld. It's absolutely hilarious. Now, even though this is a B side and it was sold for $1, it in and of itself has a B side as well. It has Save Now. It's the first time we've seen Save Now in existence, I guess you'd say. This is the Kickstarter that's going on right now on Kickstarter for Bad Idea. I think it ends on Christmas Eve. And again, we get a chance to meet the characters and we get a chance to kind of understand the story for the first time. There have been 2 other Save Now comics released since then. They were given out at San Diego Comic-Con this last year. One, if you attended the panel, the San Diego Comic-Con Bad Idea panel, and then another one if you went to the Tiki Party. If you had an invite to the Tiki Party, you got another Save Now. So Save Now, if you're not familiar, you can go check out the Kickstarter, link in the show notes, but I'll tell you right now what it's about. So it's about this one guy. He has the ability to rewind time. So that's where the name comes, like Save Now, like it's a video game, right? So you have a save point and then you can continue forward. And if you mess up or everybody dies or you take the wrong path, whatever, you go back to a previous save point and you can do things over, but you can make different decisions and try to do things differently. So that's the main character. He has that ability, but he can't go forward. He can only go back, and he ages in real time, right? So if he's trying to stop a specific or certain event from happening and it happens, don't want it to happen. Let me go back half an hour and try to do things differently. And he's got a team that works with him and he says, okay, try this, attack from the right, tries it, doesn't work, takes half an hour. Okay, let's rewind half an hour. Okay, this time attack from the left, doesn't work, takes about a half an hour to find out it doesn't work, back it up half an hour. Okay, this time attack straight from the front, doesn't work. Again, rinse, repeat, right? So everybody else, time is rolling back for them and they don't even remember that anything happened. But for the main character, the one that's got the ability to rewind time, it does go forward, right? So if he resets things 20 times for 30 minutes, he's now 10 hours older than everybody else. which isn't, a big deal, but that adds up over time. And what happens if it's a big cataclysmic event that you're trying to stop, and you're trying to stop it over and over and over and over and over. And that's what happens at the end of the story, right? It's the end of the world, it's Armageddon, it's apocalypse, whatever you want to call it. And he can't figure out a way to stop it. And his team's like, how come you haven't rewound time? How come you haven't sent us back to stop this? He's like, I did. I went back a day. I went back a week. I went back 10 years to try to stop this. Nothing I can figure out is going to be able to stop this end of world from happening. And in the meantime, he's aged so much more than everybody else. So again, there are 2 other Save Now books. I won't get into the plots of those. And then there is the Save Now Kickstarter that's going on right now. It's absolutely amazing. It's written by Matt Kindt. The art is by Tomas, Giorello, if I'm not mistaken. It's really, it's just so good. It's such an interesting idea. And I've already pledged for the Kickstarter. I can't wait for it to come out, read in detail what's going on. But again, shows the power of these ideas, because this was just a backup way back in 2021, just a B-side from Bad Idea. And now we're going to get the full story. They could have released it as a series. Yeah. I've been talking to Dinesh, and it's a little bit of a struggle. I mean, they have a little bit of a different business model than most other publishers do, that are not putting out as many books. So the pressure's not on to be profitable in the way that a Marvel or DC is profitable. But at the same time, it's like when they release books to the direct market, they make a lot less money. A lot of times they're losing money on those books, as opposed to if they cut out the middleman and they go directly to Kickstarter, then the books can be profitable and they can use them to fund future books, right? Because the pie, if you think of the pie as all the revenue that's being generated, the pie is, there's a lot fewer people to split it amongst, right? When you release to retailers, automatically half the pie, 50% of the pie is retailers. Like the retailers are getting 50% of whatever the cost of the book is. You remove that by going directly, that's a lot of revenue, right? Yeah. To divide up. So I'm not saying retail, direct market and retailers are bad or what have you. It's just Bad Idea right now is they're trying to figure out how to make it work because they are so boutique and they are so small. But the stories are amazing. The art is amazing. Go check out Save Now. If you have Hank Howard or had a chance to check it out, you'll have seen the Tomas Giorello art. You'll have read the story. You'll know how amazing, have an idea of how amazing the concept is.
Yeah, the concept reminds me of an extended version of Edge of Tomorrow, that Tom Cruise movie,
yeah,
with a different bend to it. And I love that movie. And rumor has it there might be an Edge of Tomorrow sequel at some point in the next 5 years. Hopefully Tom Cruise will do that. But no, this Save Now is fantastic concept. Full disclosure, I like the Save Now backup a little more than the Hank Howard story. So I'm going to be checking out the Kickstarter. I did not realize it was a Kickstarter, so I'll definitely be checking it out because I love the concept.
Yeah, that I love Edge of Tomorrow as well. Like that's one of my guilty pleasures. I'll put that movie on late at night when I'm working on stuff and just have it play, and then I end up just watching the movie and not doing whatever else I was supposed to be doing. Like I've probably seen that movie, no exaggeration, like 50 times at least.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's been rumors that Doug Liman, he's a director, like, oh, how do we do a sequel? Well, actually, we're gonna do a prequel. Yeah, it's been rumored for years and years, but yeah, I hope it comes to fruition at some point. But anyway, that's gonna do it for this episode, everybody. Hope you have a chance to at some point read Hank Howard. Like I would say this is probably my favorite thing Robert Venditti's ever done. I love Robert Venditti. I love his writing. I love his Hawkman. I love his Green Lantern. Obviously his Exo Manowar over at Valiant, and yeah, he's just an amazing writer. He's done so many great things that I love, but this is probably my favorite. It's just so fantastic. So hope you have a chance to check it out. Again, appreciate everybody joining us to learn a little bit about Bad Idea. So if you're checking us out on the YouTube channel, don't forget to head over to Rocky's YouTube channel, Comic Space Boom, ! Subscribe, ring the notification bell, leave some comments on our DC spotlights that we do there every week. That's how I was reminded. Somebody that was at New York Comic Con, they said, oh, I got the Mission Go. It's just the colorized version of the backup that we had in the lot. So, thanks for that. But that's kind of the thing that we could do in the comments. It's really fun to interact and, you can learn things and what have you. Also, don't forget, if you want to make sure not to miss out on any of the audio-only content that comes out from the Comic Source, go to wherever you get your podcast and just do a search for the Comic Source and subscribe. Otherwise, that's going to do it for this episode. Don't forget, there's another episode that comes out today covering the 4 issues of The Lot. So be sure to check that one out as well. And then tomorrow we'll be back with the first title from Bad Idea, The Second Wave, which is Escape from Wyoming from the aforementioned Robert Venditti. So looking forward to talking about that one as well. So we appreciate you joining us. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever it is you celebrate. Hope you're having a wonderful holiday season, everybody. And we'll see you tomorrow.
See you later.